to Time Between Times Storytelling with me, Owen Staton. Can you smell it? Can you feel it? That chill in the air is starting to arrive. Winter is coming, as they say, and the time of stories is upon us once more. It is only a few months before Halloween Calan Gaeaf. Only a few months until the time between times grows thicker still. The time of tales. So welcome, my friends, once more to Time Between Times Storytelling. There are many dark things happening in the world at the moment, but here we know we are safe. Here at the time between times. The time when it is neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey. The time when the veil between our world and the fairy world grows wafer thin. Now is the time for ghosts. Now is the time to see lights in the sky. And now is the time of stories. So sit around the fireplace and join me and my friends as we hear another tale from the time between times. No matter what is going on in your life, let that go for just a few moments. Close your eyes if you can, and it's safe, and listen to a tale traditionally told with me. As we look around the fireplace, we can see our friends gathered, friendly faces. Far away we can hear the howl of wolves, we can hear the growl of bears. But here we are safe, here at the time between times. Many, many years ago, not far from Cardiff, Caerdydd, the day fought, there lived a man called Jack T. Pentre. Jack was a lonely soul, lived on a hilltop and was a shepherd. There with his flock of sheep he would while away the days from summer to autumn to winter, making sure they were always safe. But he dreamt of better things. He dreamt of riches and treasure, and of a comely wife who would look after him, and they would have children, and they would live happily on the farm. But alone on the mountainside, he found nobody. He spoke to nobody. But one day, all of that changed. The rain had fallen hard the night before, and water covered the fields where Jack and his sheep did spend their days. He counted them in the morning, he counted them in the night, and on this day he was missing a sheep. Making sure all was safe, he went down into the forest, looking for the sheep that may have wandered off. And there in the woods, he found a woman, huddled and curled in a ditch, full of scratches and wounds. She seemed asleep, so he woke her. He tended to her wounds, he gave her some food, and she introduced herself as Nellie Pugh. Now, for those of you who don't know, and unbeknownst to Jack, Nellie Pugh was a witch very, very famous in South Wales. She would move from village to village, helping people whenever she could. But eventually, as things were in those days, she was usually turned away at some point. She'd found herself here, but Jack offered her kindness, and she turned to him and said, "Jack, are you aware of Castell Coch, the fairy castle that's not far from here?" "I am." "Are you aware of Cardiff Castle, the great Norman keep, about 10 miles south of it?" "I am." "Do you know that there is a tunnel that connects Castell Coch with Cardiff Castle? a tunnel deep beneath the earth, with only room for one man to move through. And in between there, at the point in between the two castles, is a great chamber filled with gold. Guarding that great chamber are two great eagles who sit on perches high above. Each of them is bigger than a man, and each of them will peck out the eyes of anyone they find trying to steal the treasure. But I know a way which you can make yourself rich. Really? Yes. I will show you a place, and in that place there are 7 stones hidden, and on each of those stones is carved a letter. Put those stones in a certain order, and a cave will reveal itself to you. Make your way through the cave, down to the right, up and to the left, until you come to a great chamber deep beneath the earth. And there, call out the word that is written on the stones, and the eagles will let you be. But don't forget the word, for otherwise they will attack you, and you will never leave there alive. One more thing. To find the stones, you need a white dog with silver eyes. Such a beast is rare, but one will be born in the market in Caerphilly 2 days hence from now. With that, Nellie Pugh got up and wandered into the forest and left. Jack had been given a gift. Jack had been given a blessing. Jack had been given information that could change his life. He found the lost sheep. But then, looking after sheep was the furthest from his mind. He went down to Caerphilly 3 days hence, and just as Nellie said, a small pup was for sale for a few pence. It was white, with silver eyes. Jack took the pup when it was old enough down to the forest where Nellie said to go, and the pup sniffed around, up and down, back and forth, and surely enough, it found 7 stones. I will not tell you what letters are on the stones, for few are those with that knowledge. But Jack found them, made a word, and placed them in a circle on the floor. Sure enough, just as Nellie said, when the last stone was placed, the ground opened up, revealing a ladder going deep beneath the ground. Jack was just about to set foot on the ladder when the thought of those eagles made his blood run cold. I know. I can't risk going down there with those great eagles to tear out my eyes. So once again, he removed 1 stone, the hole covered up. He went back to Caerphilly, and with his last remaining money, he bought himself a gun and 2 silver bullets. He carried the gun back, tied the dog around a tree, placed the last stone, and again the ground opened up. Jack climbed down the ladder until he came to the cavern. It was so thin he had to squeeze into the cavern. It made its way down to the left. He made its way back and to the right, up and down, under and over, until Jack felt he had travelled for miles and miles under the ground, which he had. And just like Nellie Pugh said, there was that great chamber, exactly between the 2 castles, Castell Coch, Castell Caerdydd. Jack looked around. Piles of gold as big as a man. Piles of silver bigger than a house. Chests full of treasure. He rushed forward, but then looked up and in the gloom and the darkness he saw two sets of eyes. Two sets of eyes, red and glowing deep beneath the ground. They looked at him. He looked up. And then he heard the flapping of wings as both eagles took off from their perches and swirled round and round above him. In his head, he heard a voice, as old as the mountains and as capricious as the sea, that said, "Jack, what is the word?" Suddenly both eagles swooped down. Jack remembered the word in his head, but panicked, brought out the gun and fired the two silver shots. Each of them hit an eagle, which screamed in pain. But these creatures were not of this earth, or not of this realm, and they carried on swooping, and Jack dropped the gun and ran up through the cavern. He dived back into the small space, and both eagles stopped and tried to peck within. He clambered through the caves, back and to the left, up and to the right, until he came to the ladder, terrified. He looked behind, and his back was covered in giant feathers. He clambered up the ladder. In such a panic, he grabbed each of the 7 stones and took them and scattered them for miles around. The pit closed up. His hair had turned white. He had aged 20 years in the course of an afternoon. And he never spoke of where that pit was. For years since then, for Jack took his secrets to his grave. But his tale has been told. The 7 stones are still scattered around South Wales, although some say that 3 have been found. 3 with the letters L, a letter A, and a letter W. But there, somewhere in the woods between Castell Coch and Cardiff Castle, there is that place where if you can find a white dog with silver eyes, if you promise to do no harm to the guardians, and you know the word spelt on the stones, a pit will open up. You can step in, climb down, and make your way to that chamber. When the voice calls out, do not fire a gun or do any harm. Say the word back, and treasure beyond counting could be yours. And that, my friends, is the tale of Jack T. Pentre and the treasure of Castell Coch. I hope you enjoyed it, as I enjoyed telling it. There are many videos on this channel now. Please have a look at them. Please subscribe, please like, please leave a comment so I don't feel I'm speaking to myself. And I also have a podcast, Time Between Times Storytelling. I would really appreciate if you were to look at that, click on the subscribe button, and hear a new tale every week. Know this, my friends, times may be hard, times may be dark, but there is a place here at the Time Between Times for all of us, for just a few moments every week where we can sit back, relax, and let a traditional tale be told. My name is Owen. Thank you for joining me. Diolch yn fawr, and I will see you soon at the Time Between Times. Goodbye.